Today we're going to be starting something brand new on the channel. We're going to be using Blade and Sorcery to turn it into other games using tons of mod. We know and love Blade and Sorcery for what it is, but what else can it be? So we're going to keep things simple and start off by turning Blade and Sorcery into The Witcher. In order to get this off the ground, we first need to become the man himself, Geralt. So using Hanky's Witcher armor, we can become the man himself. Things are going in the right direction because we definitely look the part. But now we're going to need a ton of weapons, especially Geralt's classic ones, so we can actually get ourselves a silver sword and a steel sword. These ones will definitely get the job done. Now, unfortunately, we don't have access to a crossbow of any kind, and we can try to cheat by using Assassin's Arsenal using the Phantom Bolt, but unfortunately, it's not compatible with this version of Geralt's armor. And alas, there was no lore-friendly bombs we could use. I guess we could use grenades, but that's not part of it. So for the time being, we don't have access to ranged attacks. And although we don't have a lantern anymore, we're going to make do with just a simple torch. And then as far as spells go, we won't really have direct access to things like Axii or Igni, so I guess Fireball will have to do, or even the Gravity Push. So now for the most part, we look exactly like the man himself. There's something extremely important that we are still missing. We're going to need Roach, so in order to do that, we're going to be using Riding Horse. Will enable us to actually mount this one and ride. And what's really satisfying about the horse is you can get it with reins, and if you actually are moving your hands up and down, the horse will actually gallop and run faster. Now, we are on track to looking and feeling like The Witcher, but we are really going to need to go to a new place. The map's Sky Fortress is actually perfect for a Kaer Morhen. Now, of course, it's not a one-to-one creation, but it actually gets the job done. Outside, you actually have access to training areas. You'll have access to massive towers, and of course, the map is very easy on the eyes. I especially love the part of the map that actually has God rays. It looks really cool. The map itself is a great little spot if you just want to come and hang out and feel like you're in solitude. But let's say you really want to get out there and explore. We have a map called Forest Valley, and this gives massive Witcher 3 vibes. So, of course, I summoned my stubborn Roach and attempted to mount him. It's easier said than done. But once we were on top of our horse, the exploration was so perfect. I mean, the map itself looks so amazing, and just being on my horse and looking like Geralt, I truly felt the part. Not to mention the horse can actually jump when you want him to. If you weren't paying attention and looked at this quickly, you would think I was playing The Witcher VR. Now, running around in nature was really cool, but I didn't actually find a city map that could feel like Novagrad, which is unfortunate. But I did run into bandits, which was sick, so using our steel sword, we made quick work out of that. And with the access of Carnage Reborn, the game really felt extremely brutal. You get those really cool kill cams that you would normally get playing The Witcher. Here's a bandit getting cutting down to size. It's very satisfying. And don't worry, Roach is okay. He always will be. Now, a great map I found was Fort Toth. This map is massive and epic. It's like fighting an entire castle, and although I did have to spawn the enemies myself, once I got in there, I quickly forgot about that, and I was able to really roleplay. And this is when using magic really feels great. And fighting off sorcerers and using my own magic feels really cool. Especially when they surrender. Now, the basic NPCs are cool because they feel like they're from, you know, like a Witcher type game. There's even guys that have armor. These are the base guys that you're going to run into, which I think is cool. But we wouldn't really be a Witcher if we only fought humans. No. We have to go after some monsters. So there's a map called The Sanctuary, which really fits into what we're about to do. Not only does it feel like we went inside the castle of Fort Toth, but this place has a very eerie vibe, especially if you go downstairs into the catacombs. You know, down here we are bound to run into some creatures, undead, skeletons, anything. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So the first thing we're going to fight are skeletons. Now, of course, these things are monsters, so we actually have to bust out the silver blade to attack them. But skeletons that are armored actually are pretty strong against the blade, which you have to find something greater, so use magic. Either that, or you can lift things and throw it at the skeletons. Whatever Witcher power that is, I'm not sure, but it feels like it would make sense. And if that doesn't work, you can imbue your sword with gravity and really just kind of go after them from there. What I like about fighting these skeletons, it really keeps you on your feet if you're using your blades. So you have to really be creative. I'm using a flame torch to actually take these ones down because their bones are armored. But fortunately, they can burn. Now the other monsters are going to be the undead, so we can actually fight the undead army. And fortunately, these ones are actually made out of flesh, or what's left of it, so it feels satisfying to fight. We just need to make sure that we use our silver sword to take these ones down. These ones put up a really fun fight, and combining that with fire to take these ones down, it almost feels like I knew their weakness. I was actually being a witcher. And then these last ones, I kind of had to cheat and go to the Lord of the Rings category and fight Nazgul, because I feel like they take the place of a wraith. These ones will also put up a cool fight, although they still sound like people because they don't have some of their other voice lines. Then we also have dynamic breakables on, so there's a chance that you could destroy an enemy's weapon while you're attacking them. And that looks very satisfying. There's also a chance that your weapon can break while using it, but it is dependent on the mod. So my base weapons were indestructible, which I guess felt pretty good. There was, however, one map mod that is actually completely unreleased, that's in its beta form, that I can go to and make it feel like it's Novagrad. This wasn't exactly Novagrad, but it honestly fit the bill well enough. This is technically an outside dungeon, which is really cool. Everything looks fantastic and honestly feels like it could be from The Witcher. But that did mean that everyone we were going to meet inside was going to be an enemy, save for one blacksmith in the very beginning. So I went to the blacksmith basic hut and left Roach where he was to say hi. He wasn't really set up, so I couldn't accept any quests for him, but I knew he was going to be on my side. And once someone attacked me, I knew that for sure because the blacksmith had my back and then some. Like I said before, this was no Novagrad, but you had places you can go inside and explore, and once NPCs actually came to this one, it was going to be really cool. There was even working doors, well, for the most part. So after I went in and made quick work of the basic enemies, it was time to go into the next sector. And although there wasn't really any NPCs to interact with and talk to and accept quests, there were still people to fight, and that's all we really need. I wasn't going to explore this any further because yes, this was a dungeon in and of itself, and there's so much to do it could be its own video. I figured we'd take a pit stop here before we really dove into what we were waiting for. Now, although we had all these mods to make us feel and look like Geralt, we had a horse, we had spells, and of course we even had some really cool maps, but what felt missing was that we didn't have access to really cool NPCs. Yeah, we could fake it and fight skeletons and zombies, but what about werewolves and drowners and stuff? There had to be more. Well, actually, there is a way to get all that stuff, but we're gonna have to go back in time, back to U11. U11 looks and feels so different. There was just something about that time. We had a lot of great mods for sure. And going back here means we have the quintessential Witcher mod for sure. It was called Geralt of Rivia, and it also requires the custom avatar framework, and thank God I still had this one because currently this mod is hidden and enables you to give access to old avatars that you couldn't have back then. And this was very important so we could become, well, a terrible looking Witcher from Witcher 2, but more importantly, this opens up the possibility of fighting those custom enemies that we all know and love. So I selected the Autumn Forest mod map gravesite and set out on our Witcher adventure. This was also another map I had missed so dearly. And now because we went all the way back to U11, it gave us access to the old medieval mega pack. And although unfortunately there was still no crossbow, there was still something very important that we can now have. Bombs. There's actually a couple of them, starting with the clay fire bomb that actually needs fire to get started, which of course isn't a problem since we're a Witcher. You just light the fuse, wait, throw that out there, and let it explode. It actually does fire and damages everything around it. And then of course there's the black powder pouch. I love this one because you could take it out, throw it, and it does like a smoke bomb. It looks really cool. And depending on what monster we were going to be hunting, we're going to need these. It also gave me access to the meat hook, so if we capture a trophy, we can easily bring it back with us. And for role-playing purposes only, we also got access again to the lantern. And although there won't be any ghosts that we can trap because of it, it still made sense to have it. I just missed having access to the lantern itself. It just feels so good just to have it in Blade and Sorcery. But unfortunately, there are some downsides of rolling back to U11 because now we don't have access to Roach, which is devastating. But we will make those concessions because now let's focus on the monsters. The book itself gives you access to the different waves, starting with the bounty board. You have access to the different drowners, the haunting, the pack, the village rescue. There were tons of stuff in here, from maidens, the Draggle, and the White Wolf himself. And of course, you can choose the waves you wanted to just focus on, so you can also go for gargoyles. But now that we were at the bounty board, let's accept the first Witcher contract, which are drowners. I'm using this map because it looks exactly like a Witcher map, and look, there's some drowners up ahead, so let's bust out our silver sword and take these monsters down. Apparently they're worth 30 coin per head, so we're gonna need a few of them. But I just missed having access to these monsters. It's sad that you have to roll back all the way to U11.3 specifically and get the custom avatar framework, because I really miss fighting these things. Especially once we can use our bombs and just throw it right at them. It makes quick work of all of them. And the fact that we were near water, it really felt the part. Like the drowners were actually really coming after me. I had to stay on my toes. And surprisingly, there was different monster types as well. It wasn't just the same drowner over and over. It was like the Drowner King, so I knew he was worth a lot. But now that this part of the contract was fulfilled, it was time to move on and face another monster. And as the other ones fled, I made sure to get my little meat hook out and capture the trophy. And yes, unfortunately there was no villager to come back to and get my coins, but bringing this drowner back with the meat hook was reward enough. The next one we were going to accept was the haunting. These things looked so cool. It reminded me of why I love playing with mods. I was blown away when I saw them again. Not only did they look intimidating, but they could use spells. And these things, man, were so lore friendly. I tried to use my trophy knife on them and it barely worked. But then I remembered it's time to bust out that silver sword and imbue it, and we made quick work once that happened. The cringy role player in me told me to take out the lantern, and I knew it wasn't technically doing anything, but it had to be done. I had to really feel like I was trapping these ghosts in one of my magical traps so I can actually take them down. With that out of the way, it was time to hunt the pack. These creatures were all the way over there, and it was time to join the fight. It looked like someone was already ahead of me. And there I saw another Witcher. It was Geralt himself fighting off a werewolf. That was my job, but I decided why not. We're from the same school, so I joined him in combat, which was actually really sick. If I technically had other avatars, like if I wanted to play as Ciri, I guess I could. Or if I didn't even want to be a Witcher, maybe just join him as a villager, that was an option as well. The werewolf had knocked him down, but it was up to me to save him. I couldn't let Geralt down. I was cosplaying as him anyway. I took a black fire bomb, threw it at the werewolf to stun him, and then finished him off. I made Geralt proud. Although he didn't really stick around to give me any kudos. But he did run into another ghost, which was surprising because I don't remember spawning this one. So I made quick work with it. I was curious about what village rescue was. I didn't remember it, so I selected to find out. I also decided to upgrade the Witcher gear. Let's get a Ziriel and Excalibur. I ran through the village trying to find out what would spawn first, and of course a drowner near the water attacked me, so he had to go down quickly. Doing this wave was awesome. I really felt like I was actually on a quest. I didn't know what was going to happen. All I knew that there was villagers that were being attacked, and it was up to me, the Witcher, to take everything down. Even if the villagers fell, it was fun to see. I felt like a hero. With that final remaining drowner killed, I look at the villager that lost his life. Thank goodness that there was actually a graveyard nearby so I can bury him. I just hope I didn't have to bury his bones later so he wouldn't come back as a ghost. We had to find out what madness was as well. This gave access to 123 enemies to be spawned, with 7 of them being alive at a time. I assumed it was just going to be a death battle, and I was pretty much right. We had Geralt, we had a drowner, there was gargoyles, everything was attacking me. It was so creepy. I was actually pretty surprised because I wasn't ready to see a gargoyle, but hell, they were there too. Then we had to fight the Dragloth. Allegedly, there was only one, possibly 2 of these things. And I'm telling you, right here is where it actually felt like I was being a Witcher. I was checking things out, looking at their spawns, looking for clues to wonder where this beast could be. I ran into a random drowner along the way and made quick work out of it. And there it was, right from that madness wave, the thing I didn't recognize, it was standing in front of me. It looked so weird because, well, it used the avatar framework from back in the day, but technically, it was there. It looked weird. It didn't really feel like it was putting up much of a fight, though. I used black fire bombs to quickly take it down, and once it stood back up, it was time to give it the final stab. Then, after experiencing all those monsters, there was only one thing left to do, and that was to take on the White Wolf himself. So I met him on the bridge for a final duel, and he had an overpowered sword. I didn't really know what to do, but I just kept swinging because it's played in Sorcery, and I'm always going to come out on top. After a pretty fierce battle, I decided to hit him with an Aura Blast and then finish him off. With the White Wolf down, it was time to collect the final trophy. My travels back in time to U11 were coming to a close. It was fun to go back there and experience the old Witcher and all those drowners. My time as a Witcher was coming to an end. There was other franchises and other games to explore. And so the question stands, what did you want to see me become next? We were already a Witcher, so it's up to you. Let me know in the comment section. But until next time, my friends, I've become Drifter, the Witcher, and I will see you next time.